Hey everyone, my name is Rosie, and I had such a good time starting my collage journal a couple weeks ago. I figured it was about time for us to do a new spread and continue to fill up this journal. Also, you are getting voiceover Rosie today because I didn't feel like being on camera and I made this collage in my pajamas. I pulled out this nature book, which I'm pretty sure I got in a mystery box that my sister-in-law Felicia put together for me. I think I unboxed that and did a video on it maybe almost a year ago. It's been a while, and I didn't use this book in that video, so I thought it would be a great place to start. And as you can see, there's so many great animal and plant pictures in this book. Like, look at that little bee and that squirrel. Some of them are definitely larger than others and won't quite fit on the page. So I'm looking for things that I just think are cool images and that inspire me, but also are sort of the right size for the size of my journal. The other thing I want to talk about while I decide what images I want to use is a lot of people on my last collage journal video recommended that I remove some of the pages from my journal so when I'm filling it up it doesn't expand too much and get what you call gator mouth. And I don't know about all of you, but that sounds awesome. I want my journal to have gator mouth. Are you kidding me? That sounds incredible. So I haven't decided if I'm going to remove any of the pages or not. I probably will. I'm not really at that point yet, but I did think that was really hilarious that it's called gator mouth. And anyway, sounds very exciting. Oh, I found the thing I wanted to use. So the first image that I found was this of this puffer fish, and I don't know, I just thought he was really cute and kind of a good size for the page. I also found this bee hugging this little flower, so I pulled that out because again I thought he was cute. I think maybe the bee plus the flower is maybe a little bit too big for the journal, but don't worry, I figure out something else and maybe we don't use the flower. So I gotta get these things cut out and see if they're gonna fit on the page. Also, this little puffer fish had all these little spikes, and this did take me quite a while to cut out. But the thing that the little spikes reminded me of was sun rays for whatever reason. So I did have this idea at the start to use the puffer fish as a sun in a sunrise or sunset picture. And I liked this idea, but when I found this sunset picture and cut the mountains out and slipped the puffer fish behind, I really just didn't think it read very well. And I also covered up sort of the most interesting part of this picture, which is the sun. And I don't know, it looks okay, but I really just didn't think it was that exciting. So I ditched that idea and instead looked through some of those collage books that I have. And on the very first page actually of this book, I found this lady sitting on this mountain reading this book. And I loved the colors in these mountains. And I figured I could do a similar thing that I wanted to do with the sunrise sunset thing. But instead of using an actual sunrise or sunset, I can just use these mountains. I also found this line of text in this book, "It's time to speak of unspoken things." And I kind of thought that that was just a little bit cryptic and weird and thought that that would fit in with whatever kind of weird collage I was going to create with this puffer fish. And I don't usually use text. And so I thought in my collage journal, that was a really good place to sort of experiment with using text. I also thought that it might be fun to give the puffer fish a hat. So I found this page of hats and I had to decide which one I wanted. I thought the cowboy hat for a little bit, but then I liked this graduation cap best because I thought it made the puffer fish look scholarly. And I thought that that was a nice look for our little puffer fish friend. So I pulled that out. I also thought it was sort of the right size and a good color. And then the last thing I wanted to add, surprise, surprise, it's a mushroom. I just thought we needed something sort of big in the background and add sort of a different color. And so I pulled out that mushroom. And now I think I have enough elements to fill up the page. So we gotta get everything cut out and make sure that it actually does fit because this journal is always smaller than I think it is. And so sometimes when I get stuff on the page, I'm like, oh, okay, these mountains are a lot longer than this book. Is that okay? So I tucked the puffer fish back there, and I thought he kind of was a really nice, sun or moon or thing flying in the sky. I also had to get the mushroom cut out and put that in the background. I do think that that filled up the space really nicely and brought in a nice sort of different color. I overall really love the colors in this piece. I think they work really well together. Oh, look at his little hat. Bum, 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 bum. He looks so cute. All right, also had to cut the words out and tuck that back in there. This was almost too long for the page, but I put it a little bit at an angle, which I thought was wacky. So I think it worked perfectly, but it was almost not big enough. The last thing I wanted to do was tuck the cap behind the pufferfish's little fin, just to, make it feel, just a little bit more real. So once I had all of my elements in the place that I wanted them to be, I glued everything together and then trimmed off the excess things so didn't have images sticking out of my journal. And this first page is done. And again, I really love the colors and think that this composition came out really well. So it's time to move on to the other page, and I do have that bee in my mind, but I'm still not quite sure what I want to do with it. So I took out this collage image book and was flipping through just to look for things that were maybe just the right size that could replace the flower. And so the bee could maybe be landing on something else. And I flipped and found this picture of the moon, which surprisingly ended up being the perfect size for the bee to sort of be landing on the moon. It kind of also looked like the bee was hugging the moon, and I just thought this was kind of a nice pair. And so I flipped through the book a little bit more just to see if there was something else, because I did need one other element to add to the piece, but I really wasn't sure. I looked at the text again. Maybe I was going to do another thing with text. Wasn't quite sure, so I just put that away and cut the moon out and made sure that the moon and the bee were actually going to work together. And the bee has all these tiny little legs I had to cut out. And I also needed the bee, some of the legs to go behind the moon and some to go in front, because I really did want it to look like the bee was really kind of hugging the moon. And I really do think this ended up being the perfect size. It fits on the page really well. I ended up not liking the background as much on the moon image, so I took that out, and so we just have a flat moon, and I think that that just reads a little bit better. I also needed to decide what other element we were going to add to this. Oh, look how cute he looks, hugging the moon. Oh man, I love that so much. And again, it fits perfectly on the page. So I knew I needed one other thing, and I thought, well, we're kind of in space with the moon, so let's just keep the space thing going. I pulled out this space book and found a galaxy that I liked the colors of. And the thing I like about this picture is that it was very bright white right in the center. And I kind of thought that was a nice thing to put behind the bee and the moon. It gave it sort of this outer glow sort of feel that I really liked. And I liked that the outside of the galaxy was darker. And I don't know, I just thought that this image worked really well. But I did think just cutting the image out as a rectangle or a full background was a little bit boring of an idea. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I took out my crazy cutter, oh my God, what is this thing called? I already forgot. This swivel X-Acto knife thing that I tested out a couple of months ago. I took that out because the one thing I realized about it was really good at cutting curves. And I wanted to create this sort of very funky, curvy, amoeba-like shape. And I thought this was the perfect tool to do that with. So I kind of just went around. I just totally winged this. I only knew that I wanted sort of a wiggly image. I wasn't exactly sure what the shape was going to be. But I kind of just did what the pen was going to do. And I got this weird looking shape. But once I got it on the page and put the bee on top, I really loved the shape I ended up making. I think it just worked out really well. And I love that the bee and the moon are sticking out of the the background just a little bit. And again, it was just a fun shape. And in my journal is the place I get to sort of experiment, do things that are a little bit different. And I really just love how it sort of fits on the page. So here's our finished spread and our 2 new pages added to the collage journal. I really love how both of these turned out, and I just really love the colors. There's something about them today that I just am a big fan of these colors. And so now we have 4 completed pages in this journal. And for some reason, I have sort of been doing a space theme a little bit. Well, I guess the fox on the phone is not really space themed, but there is space on both pages. I didn't really mean to do that. Anyway, I hope that you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week for another collage video. Bye!